how's the offseason been for you? You had a chance to go back to Canada for a little bit, and now you're back in Evansville getting things going. How's your offseason going?
It's going good. Talked to a lot of kids and a lot of agents, and you put on your salesman hat when the summer starts, and I'm trying to sell my program and sell the city of Evansville and sell the arena and anything that'll attract the kids to come in here. So I think just making contact with a lot of kids right now is important, and then staying in touch with them, because everybody at this point in the summer is looking for something better than the ECHL. They all want the American Hockey League, the National Hockey League, and their expectations start to lower as the summer moves along.
Sure.
So they're a little more willing to talk to you later in the summer than they are now.
Well, and you've got a little, I guess, maybe ace under your sleeve in the fact that you had a guy go up to the show last year in Chris Drieger. I mean, does that come up in conversation with some of these guys that you've spoken to?
Yeah, it's a great selling point, and I make sure I bring it up to every kid I'm talking to that is a possible kid for Evansville, and tell them the Dredger story, that we were the only team in the ECHL last year that had a player go directly to the National Hockey League and actually play in the National Hockey League.
Yeah.
So it's a big deal. And, we had over 20 call-ups to the American League last year, and these are the type of things kids want to hear. Do you get kids to the next level? And we can prove that we have gotten them to the next level, so it's a big deal.
Now, is Chris still with the Senators right now?
Yes,
still
he
with
is.
Ottawa?
Yeah, he's got another year's contract.
Excellent.
I think, next year.
Good for him. Coach Al Sims from the Evansville IceMen joining us here in studio. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3, and online, ESPNEvansville.com. And again, we talk, you're getting prepared now. You actually came over from the Ford Center today. Were you having a practice today? Because I know when I spoke to you to set this up, you said you were going to be at the rink. So how many guys are you dealing with right now, and what's the process moving forward?
Actually, none. I'm just over there at my office.
Okay, you're just hanging out at the office.
Making my phone calls from there. So I have a big board there. It helps me. I can see all the kids that we've talked to and everybody that I'd like to have in Evansville. So it's, like I said, the summer's moving along, and it's going the way it usually goes. And you just hope a lot of the players, especially the young players you decide to select, will be at least as good as people say they are, or better. So you just never know how a kid's going to pan out when he plays his first year pro. But we will have some veteran guys as well, and Binghamton's gone out and signed some players as well already this summer. Guy Lapine has been signed by Binghamton for another year. So that's great for Guy, not great for us, but we're happy for him. And, they have signed some players that look like they may end up in Evansville, and they look like good players. So
Great.
That's a real positive.
Well, I know we got an email press release about a protected roster. I think it was a 30-man protected. And then that starts to go down, as you were saying before we started the interview when we were talking off mic. Explain to us a little bit how that works. Protected, I mean, the word speaks for itself, but how does that work, and what levels does it drop down?
Well, it allows you to, protect as many players from your roster that played for you last year, as you want. And it just keeps other teams away from talking to these players. It gives you a couple of weeks. I think June 15th is our next list, but June 1st was that list. And it gives us a couple of weeks to really, sign those players if you want to, or talk to them, see if they want to come back without any interference from other teams or other coaches talking to them. Then June 15th comes a 20-man roster. So you can only protect 20 of the guys who played for you last year. And again, it keeps other teams from tampering with those players. You're allowed to negotiate with them till August 1st. Anybody who's left off that 20-man list becomes a free agent and can talk to other teams and sign with other teams. So, and after that, it goes down to, I believe, August 1st, and then you can send out 8 qualifying offers to players that you played for you last year. And once you send a qualifying offer to a player, he becomes your property again for that following year. And, you're allowed to send out 8 of those.
Well, I know last year did not go the way you wanted it to go. You came in mid-season, January 1st.
Right.
So, it and took over a lot of turnover, a lot of players in and out trying to get that Al Sims method or however on the ice. Is that, were you able to see in that second half, I mean, even as, again, it didn't go the way it wanted. I mean, there's no sugarcoating it. You would like things a lot better, I'm sure.
Sure, yeah.
But now that you come in, day one, full bore, is there Are there a lot of players that you've seen last year that you know you can do something with, or are we looking at pretty much learning better carry a roster around for a little while?
Yeah, I think if you look at teams like Toledo that, finished pretty much where we did at the bottom of the table, 2 years ago, and what they managed to do over one summer, I think it gives us all a great hope that we can flip a team like Toledo did, and Fort Wayne as well. I think Fort Wayne only kept 4 or 5 guys from their roster a year ago, and they ended up at the top of the table as well. So we're hoping to do the same thing this year. It can be done. It has been done, and you need some good breaks in recruiting players, and players pan out the way you hope, and you get a great goaltender. Like I said, we want our own goaltender in Evansville this year, not a Binghamton goalie. We will have one from Ottawa, but we want our own guy as well, and hopefully he's going to be a top guy in this league. And we're talking to some people right now that we feel can be that guy, and I think that's where it all starts. If we get a guy between the pipes that's similar to the guy you had here last year, I think that started the season with you, was tremendous, and won you a lot of games. That's a big start for us. And then we'll, hopefully build a better defense than we had last year. But certainly the last half of last year gave me a great idea who I wanted back and who I don't want back. And, I would honestly say there's probably maybe 5 faces that you'll see back from last year's team.
Coach Al Sims joining us here in studio. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3. We talk about players moving and coming and going and moving up and moving back down and everything else, but you've also got a hole there in your coaching staff as Josh Bilal has moved on and taken a head coaching position and you can describe it better. What's the league that he's moved into now?
It's the GMHL, and it's a junior league for kids from 16 to 21 years old.
And now, have you filled his role as assistant coach yet, or is that process still going?
We've been talking to guys, and we've narrowed it down to three candidates, and we're going to make an announcement, actually, I think Monday at Beef O'Brady's.
Okay, yeah, because the show, I think the weekly, is it weekly?
Yeah, it'll be the
back
first
at
one
Beef O'Brady's?
since the season ended. So
now, you weren't here in time last year for just outside of the world of hockey, but more Evansville in general. You weren't here last year for the Evansville Otters season. Have you had a chance to go out to Bosse Field, because it turns 100 next Wednesday?
Yeah,
It's a big deal around here. I don't know if you've heard.
Yeah, but the field is fabulous. I mean, I've seen the field. We got a new one built in Fort Wayne a few years ago, and I thought it was nice. But this one is really something. So it's a fantastic venue for fans.
It's held up well over 100 years, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Are you going to get a chance to maybe get out there for a game at some point in the season?
Yeah,
maybe even next Wednesday for the anniversary?
Yeah. Hopefully I will.
It's a good time if you get the opportunity. I think it's something you really enjoy. Coach Al Sims in studio with us from the Evansville IceMen. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 105.3. Let's talk some NHL. Stanley Cup is going on. Series tied up 2-2. Between Tampa Bay and Chicago in what has been a very entertaining series in these first 4 games. That game last night in the end, and with Chicago being up 2-1, and I think they spent the last 3 minutes of that third period in Chicago's side of the ice. And I don't know how those guys keep track of that puck, because at one point there must have been 10 guys in front of that goal, and how the Chicago goalie was able to keep track of that puck and keep it from going in. I don't know. It was chaos to some degree. But just some overall thoughts on how this series has gone.
Yeah, I think it's been fantastic. I mean, every game's one goal, and, the goaltending's been great. I think Ben Bishop's been huge for Tampa. I think he's come into his own. I don't think he's ever played the way he's playing, and it's unfortunate. I think we all saw the way he was getting up off the ice in that previous game, and it was no surprise to me that they went with a Russian kid last night, because Ben needs a few more days, but I think this series is going to hinge on whether Bishop plays or not. And, I think both teams are so evenly matched. I think Tampa's a more aggressive team, but, Chicago's been there. They've done it. They've won it. They've got a lot of guys who have done that, and they definitely have an advantage that way. But I think the youth of Tampa Bay is just something else. I mean, these kids, they just run guys every shift. When you go back as a defenseman for Chicago, you're getting pounded into the glass, and it's something that I really noticed. And I know they're wearing down the Chicago defense, because they're playing basically with 4 players back there, and it's got to be difficult. And Chicago probably wants to end it as quickly as possible.
Now, you played in a couple of Stanley Cup finals in your day.
Yeah,
as
I did.
They say.
Yes, I did. Yeah.
That's the feeling that these kids are going, or not kids, they're men. These men are going through like Tampa Bay. You said it there. Chicago has the experience.
Right.
Tampa Bay's got the youth. That's the youngest team in the NHL, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But a little bit about just the feeling of being a part of the Stanley Cup Finals.
Well, I think it's fantastic. I mean, just the media coverage around you every day. Every day you walk into the rink for practice, morning skate, whatever it may be. There's 20, 30 reporters there in your face wanting a comment, and it's just fantastic. And the pressure that comes with playing in a Stanley Cup Final Series, just to go through it as a player, it's just something else. It's I got to get to 2 finals, one against Montreal, one against Philadelphia when they had the Broad Street Bullies, and then Philly won their first cup. They beat us in 6 games, and Montreal beat us 4 straight when they were in their heyday. So, unfortunately, my name didn't go on the cup, and you don't get a ring for second place. So, but it was
get a big attaboy though, right?
Yeah, it was
way to go.
Was a fantastic experience, and I'll remember for the rest of my life. It was just something that happens, to some players, maybe once, other players maybe twice or 3 times, but for the majority of players, it doesn't happen at all. So it was a thrill to be there.
So does the experience win out in this finals, or does the youth outskate them?
I think Tampa's got the edge. I really do. I think, their youth. I think Chicago's, like I said, their D's beat up, and I think Bishop's a little bit better than Crawford in this series so far, and goaltending's huge, and I think Tampa will probably win it in 7.
Well, if Bishop needs like some rehab or something, we could probably work out a few games with the IceMen, right?
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we can bring him down here for a few games and get him ready. But yeah, I think it hinges on Bishop and him coming back.
Evansville IceMen head coach Al Sims joining us in studio. It's Ford and O'Brien, ESPN Evansville 1053, and online, ESPNEvansville.com. One more for you, and again, we appreciate the time. We know you're busy. The one thing I noticed in watching this Stanley Cup Finals, and really hockey in general, the difference between how the coaches handle the game during the game. And I see you when we go to IceMen games in the Ford Center, as opposed to a football coach who's on the sidelines, got the headset on, and he's screaming and yelling through the whole thing, and a baseball manager, for the most part, is in the dugout, and he's doing what he needs to do. But hockey coaches are in their suits, and you guys just stand there back against the back wall with your arms crossed and just watch. What goes through your mind? I mean, how come it doesn't appear that more interaction between coach and players? Or are we just not seeing that on TV?
Well, I think the problem, Ryan, that's a great point, is, there's so much time between plays in football and baseball that you can have actual preparation coming into your earphones. You got time to do things. In hockey, it moves so fast that the coach doesn't want to miss anything that happens on the ice. And it's very difficult because, the puck's being dropped. You're watching. You want to say something to a guy who just came off. You can't because you don't have time, and you don't want to take your eyes off the ice. And it's really one of those sports that all the preparation is done before those players step on the ice. And, once they're on the ice, you just stand back like you said.
Yeah, you just have to wait till
hold your
intermission.
arms and just say, I hope they were listening. And you just watch it develop and unfold, and, hopefully your strategy was right. And, this series is so close. Both coaches, I think, once it starts, just let them go, and hopefully their guys win out.
You take your mental notes and deal with it at intermission.
Right. Yeah, I was going to say, so basically you do get 2 intermissions versus a halftime in a football game or something. But that's pretty much the only time that you can make adjustments. So in-game adjustments are kind of either up to the assistant coaches or not happening.
Exactly.
Huh?
And that's why your assistants are valuable, because you tell them, talk to Johnny about this, and he comes to the bench. The assistant can take the time to do that. And really between periods, there's so much going on. Guys getting ice bags and seeing the trainer coming back in. I usually try to get everybody in the room with 5 minutes left before we go back on the ice, and I talk for maybe 3 minutes and hopefully just bring up 1 or 2 or 3 points that I want them to focus on, and hopefully they can carry that into the next period. But it is difficult, like I said, to make changes on the fly when you're a hockey coach.
Well, it's good to see you again. Welcome back to town.
Yeah, it's great to see you guys.
We look forward to the season getting underway. I know it feels like it's a ways away, but it'll be here before we know it. We'll be talking again on a more regular basis. So enjoy the off season, what little of it. Maybe the off season is done for you. It sounds like you're back at it pretty hard. So best of luck, and we'll talk again soon.
Thanks, Ryan. Thanks, Joe.